ITIL for Foundation. Read the first chapter from these materials of the practice 1 from the Udemy courses. If you achieve 80% of continue, else repeat from 1. Read the last chapter from the training material, chapter 5 practices. Solve practice 2. If you achieve 80% or more, continue, else repeat 3. Solve the practice 3, 4, 5, 6. If you achieve 80% or more in exams, then you're more than ready to pass the official exams, else you need to repeat from studying material solving questions. You can schedule the online proctor exam. Prepare cert can buy the exam there, or I recommend to buy voucher from the site, cheaper than such as Passionate Group. Before the attending exam, review the official ITIL for Foundation syllabus available the ITIL Facebook library to make sure that you understand each item in the syllabus. You don't need any study questions resources other than ones shared in our group. The symbol in right upper corner in the slide means that contents of the slide informative only, not required for the ITIL Foundation exam. Table contents, introduction, key concepts of service management, the fourth dimension of service management, the ITIL service value system. Fifth, ITIL management practices. Introduction. What is ITIL? ITIL's story. Example of organizations adopting ITIL. ITIL Foundation for Foundation, ITIL for Certificate Scheme, ITIL for Framework Key Components. ITIL is formally an acronym of Information Technology Infrastructure Library. It is a set of detailed best practices for IT service management, ITSM that focuses on aligning IT services with the needs of businesses. Best practice is defined as proven activities or processes that have been successfully used by multiple organizations. IT service management, ITSM, is the business of being a service provider. In other words, knowing your customers, what they need, and what you do for them. 1989, first version of ITIL release, ITIL v4, ITIL v3, ITIL v3, 2011 updated. Excelos owned ITIL 4. The ITIL concept emerged in the 1980s when the British government determined that the level of services quality provided to them was not sufficient. The Central Computer and Telecommunication Agency (CCTA), later became Office of Government Commerce's (OGC), was tasked with developing a framework for efficient, financially responsible use of IT resources with the British government and the private sector. In the 1989, first version of ITIL was released. It is called GITM, Government Information Technology Information Management. And while it is different to today's ITIL, they both share the goal of offering improved support and delivery. In the 2001, version 2 of ITIL was released. The service support and service delivery books was redeveloped into more concise user volumes. In 2007, volume 3 of ITIL was published. This adopted more of a life cycle approach to service management with greater emphasis on IT business integration. In 2011, version 3 of ITIL was updated. No entirely new concepts have been added, but the aim of update is to resolve errors and inconsistencies in the text and diagrams across the whole suite. Since July 2013, ITIL has been owned by Excelos, a joint venture between Capita and the UK Cabinet Office. In February 2009, as a consequence of Fourth Industrial Revolution, ITIL Force was introduced to reshape much more established ITSM practices in a wider context of customer experience, value streams, and digital transformation, as well as embracing new ways of working, such as Lean, Agile, and DevOps. First, mechanical revolution, production, railroad, and steam power, mass production, electrical power, and the advent of the assembly line, automate production, electronics and computers, artificial intelligence, big data, robotics, and more to come. Example of organizations adopting ITIL. The ITIL foundation level is the entry-level certification which offers you general awareness of the key elements, concepts, and terminology used. The ITIL foundation no prerequisite. ITIL exam is multiple choice examining questions, 40 questions, 26 marks required to pass out of available. 60 minutes durations, closed books. Exam can be taken online proctored at peoplecert.org. Exam fees $340. Exam summary and certificate provided only by the exam provider. ITIL Foundation successfully candidates register is available online Excelos website. ITIL Master Managing Professional, ITIL Specialist, create, deliver, and support, drive stakeholder value, strategist, strategic leader, ITIL Foundation. Key concepts of ITILs are ITIL Service Value System, ITIL SBS, the four-dimension model, opportunity and demand, service value chain, governance, guiding principles, value, political factors, organizing peoples, information technology, product and service, partner suppliers, value stream processes, technology factors, social factors, economical factors, environmental factors. The ITIL SBS represent how various components and activities of the organization work together to facilitate value creation through IT-enabled services. The core components of the ITIL service SBS are the first, the ITIL service value chain, second, the ITIL practices, third, the ITIL guiding principles, fourth, governance, fifth, continual improvement. ITIL framework key component, the four-dimensional model, to ensure a holistic approach to service management. ITIL force outline four dimensions of service management from which each component of the SBS should be considered. The four dimensions are organization and people, information and technology, partners and suppliers, value stream and processes. Chapter 2, Key Concept of Service Management. Key concept of service management. Chapter content: service management, value and value co-creation. 2.3 Organization, service providers, service consumers, and other stakeholders, product and services, service relationship. 2.6 Value outcomes, cost and risk. Service management. Service management, a set of specialized organizational capabilities for enabling value for customers in the form of services. Developing these organizational capabilities requires an understanding of the nature of value, the nature and scope of the stakeholders involved, how value creation is enabling through services. Value and value co-creation. The purpose of an organization is to create value for stakeholders. Value is defined as the perceived benefits, usefulness, and the importance of something. Value is subject to the perception of the stakeholders. Value can be subjective. Value is co-created through an active collaboration between service provider and consumers, as well as other organizations that are part of the relevant services relationship. Organizations and service provider, service consumers, and other stakeholders. Stakeholder, a person or organization that has an interest or involvement in an organization, product, service, practice, or other entity. Organization, a person or a group of people that has its own functions with responsibilities, authorities, and relationships to achieve its objectives. Service provider, when provisioning services, an organization takes an on the role of service provider. The provider can be external to consumers' organization, or they can both be part of the same organization. Service consumer. When receiving services, an organization takes on the role of service consumer. Service consumers can be customer, a person who defines the requirement for the service and takes responsibility for the outcomes of the service consumption. User, a person who uses services. Sponsor, a person who authorizes budget for service consumption. Product and services. Service, a meaning of enabling value co-creation by facilitating outcomes that the customer wants to achieve, without the customer having to manage specific cost and risk. Product, a configuration of organization's resources designed to offer value to a customer. The services that an organization provides are based on one or more of each product. Organizations own or have access to a variety of resources, including people, information, and technology, value streams and processes, and suppliers and partners. Product and configurations of resources created by the organization that will potentially be valuable for each customer. Service offerings, a formal description of one or more services designed to address the needs of a target consumer group. A service offering may include goods, access to resources, and service actions. Goods supplier to the consumer. Ownership is transferred to the consumer. Consumer takes responsibility for future use. Mobile phone, physical server. Access to resources. Ownership is not transferred to the consumer. Access is granted or licensed to the consumer under agreed terms and conditions. Consumer can only access the resource during the agreed consumption period and according to other agreed service terms. Access to the mobile network storage. Service actions performed by the service provider to addresses a consumer need, performed according to an agreement with the consumer. User support, replacement of a piece of equipment. Service relationship, a cooperation between service provider and service consumer. Service relationship includes service provision, service consumption, and service relationship management. Service provision, activities performed by an organization to provide services. Service consumption, activities performed by an organization to consume services. Service relationship management, joint activities performed by service provider and service consumers to ensure continual value co-creation based on agreed and available service offerings. Service provider resources, product, service offerings, service relationship, and values. Value, outcomes, cost and risk. Output, tangible and intangible deliverable of an activity, something created by carrying out an activity. Outcome, a result for a stakeholder enabled by one or more outputs. An outcome can be enabled by more than one output. Risk is a possible event that could cause harm or loss, or make it more difficult to achieve objectives. Risk can also be defined as uncertainty of outcomes can be used in the context of measuring the probability of positive outcomes, opportunity, as well as negative outcomes, threat. Effective outcomes, cost introduced, risk introduced, supported outcomes, cost removed, risk removed. Cost, the amount of money spent on the specific activity or resource. Type of cost involved in service relationships. Cost removed from the consumer by services, a part of the value proposition. This may include cost of staff, technology, and other resources which the consumer doesn't need to provide. Cost imposed on the consumer by service. The cost of service consumption. The total cost of consuming a service includes the price charged by the service provider, if applicable, plus other costs such as staff training, cost network utilization, procurement, etc. Some consumers describe this as what they have to invest to consumer service. Value, outcome, cost, and risk. To evaluate whether service or service offerings will facilitate the outcomes desired by the consumers and therefore create value for them. The overall utility and warranty of the service should be assessed. Utility, the functionality offered by the product or service to meet the particular needed. Utility can be summarized as what the service does and can be used to determine whether service is fit for purpose. To have a utility, a service must either support the performance of the consumer or remove the constraint from the consumer. Many services do both. Warranty assurance that product service will meet agreed requirement. It can be summarized as how the service performs and can be used to determine whether the service is fit for use. Warranty often related to service level aligned with needs of service consumers. It addresses areas such as availability, capacity, continuity, and security. Which term describe the functionality offered by the service?